My name is Steve Wyatt, and I've been to ComicCon 38 years. My first year was 1979. I was in 9th grade. I came with a group of friends. We split 3 tables. It was comic books then. You know, I met some of the greatest people back then. Mike Kaluta, Bernie Wrightson. The guests were all comic book artists and comic book writers. But I've evolved with it every year. The last year I missed was 1990. My daughter was born, and she was due right at Comic-Con time, and my beautiful wife told me if she was born while I was gone, don't come home. So I missed that one. But no, I still sell comic books. To me, it's still about comic books. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a different animal than what it started with. And most conventions have changed with it. The movies obviously are a huge part. And what we sell too, people go, oh, I saw the Avengers movie. Thanos was in it. Where's that Thanos book where he gets the glove? Things like that. So the movies have changed the younger people how they buy, but they're still buying comic books. But it's toys and it's animation and it's video games and it's all ends of pop culture, and that's not a bad thing. I was talking with the guys who run Comic-Con about a decade ago, and somebody was complaining that it's not comic books anymore. So I actually stepped in and told that person, with them standing there, it's like a giant snowball. It's just getting bigger, and their job isn't to form it. It's to make sure everyone stands out of the way while it gets bigger. You know, because it is what it is. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and I'm glad they've now taken it out of the building, so it's across the street and down the street and this building and that building. Because if you go to a show in like Europe, it's not a show in a building, it's a show in a town. So they've been doing it like that for decades, so I'm glad we're finally doing it that way. Back then, and I rarely see it now, occasionally I've seen a few today, they would come with their binders full of lists and, you know, I need Batman 322, 324, and 326, and, you know, they're filling their lists. We don't get as much as that as they did then. There's not as many completists, but, you know, back in my day, we all read comic books. But there weren't video games, and there weren't the movies, and there weren't any of that, you know. Well, we had the Christopher Reeve movies. That was different. But yeah, and I don't see as many young people filling the list, but I see lots of middle-aged people still filling the list. The young people seem to buy the more popular stuff, Harley Quinn, all that. So that's kind of how it's changed. It is, and it's not just Comic-Con. The industry is promoting reading more, and it's good that a lot of these people wouldn't read, but now that they have their Kindles and Marvel and DC and Image have all put like their entire libraries online, people are starting to read more, and then they're coming in now and going, oh, I liked this one I read, you have the real copy. So that's happening a little more. There's a lot more book companies that are doing science fiction and fantasy and superhero books. So yeah, I mean, reading has picked up. My most expensive comic, all the stuff on the boards up here, you know, 100, 200, 500, 1,000, you know, anything like that is up on the wall. Our most expensive stuff is at our other booth, Torpedo Comics. Oh boy, that's a tough one. I think my favorite story is coming my first year, because I came with Steve Wyatt, who drew Spider-Woman, Frank Sirocco, who was doing Alien Legion. Those guys brought me to the first one, and I came from a little town in the Bay Area to seeing this and meeting Jim Steranko and Frank Bruner and some of my idols. That was my best. I think my favorite Comic-Con was when we had all the EC comic guys get together, and I sponsored Jack Davis, who's one of the most famous artists in our world. and got to sit next to him. And I mean, Stan Lee was there and Jack Kirby was there. I've gotten to meet, I mean, Frank Frazetta came here once. He is, in our world, what Leonardo da Vinci is to fine art. And because of Comic-Con, I got to meet him once. And it's the only time in my life, and I've met so many celebrities, it's unbelievable, that I couldn't say anything. I was just, because all my mind could say is, oh my God, that's Frank Frazetta right there, you know? So that was probably the best moment right there, was meeting Frank Frazetta. This is, I mentioned Frank Frazetta. This is a Frank Frazetta original. This is a cover to one of the Eerie magazines. This is his painted, a prelim to the actual painting. And this is a $10,000 piece just for this. The most expensive art in our world that's ever sold, which was for $2.5 million, was a Frank Frazetta original. Yeah, he's, like I said, he is the king of our world.